You. Hello. My story begins 15 years ago. I was still in university, studying English literature and wondering what I wanted to do next. I finally decided that I will do freelance work because I thought that would give me the time and the flexibility that I needed to pursue my goals, traveling the world and writing books. The problem was, when I told people that I was studying English literature, they would immediately say, "Oh, so you're going to become a teacher?" To which I always answered, absolutely not. I mean, if there was one thing I knew I never wanted to do, that was to teach, and especially the little ones. I just thought being stuck in a fixed schedule, being exhausted day in and day out, will never allow me to pursue my two goals. And while growing up, even though I had wonderful teachers, very influential, that's how I saw them, as teachers. They never shared stories about their life outside of school. They never talked about their hobbies or interests. And remember, this was a time way before social media. Somebody had to actually tell you for you to know what they were doing. You couldn't just scroll through Facebook or Instagram. It felt as if their life revolved around teaching. And most days, those wonderful teachers, all they did was stand in front of the classroom, repeating themselves countless times and being ignored in the process, and trying very hard to find creative ways to teach us something we weren't interested in. Sounds familiar? I mean, who wants to do that? But after the 7th time, I was told, "Oh, so you're going to become a teacher?" I thought that maybe, just maybe, as the backup to my backup to my backup, I should do my teaching diploma, which I did interning in a grade 12 English class. But I thought at that time that I would never need that degree ever. So for the first 5 years after graduating, I did a lot of freelance work that allowed me to, or helped me pursue my dreams. These work were in the fields of writing, of research, which I'm still extremely passionate about. No two jobs were alike. I did translating, I edited contracts, I worked in an advertising company, I tutored. I loved the freedom and the flexibility that it gave me. It gave me time, it gave me inspiration, it gave me flexibility in my schedule, and yet I wasn't able to pursue either of my goals. It was during those circumstances that a friend of mine told me about a position here at ACS as a teacher assistant in 1st grade. My immediate reaction was, no, thank you. Eventually, I caved in. I emailed the school, I got an interview, and after spending a day in the classroom as a trial, I got offered a contract. But between that initial conversation I had with my friend and me actually sending in that email, there was a moment of inner reflection. It was a moment when I needed to slow down, and I needed to be completely and absolutely honest with myself. The time had come for me to ask myself the hard question. And the question had nothing to do with my position at the school or whether or not I saw myself as a teacher, but it had to do with my goals. It had everything to do with my goals. So I asked myself, where are you on your goals journey? How many pages did you write? How many cities did you travel to? And the answers were nowhere near where I had wanted them to be. I had written 1 chapter of a story I wasn't excited about, and I had traveled twice to the same city. And for those curious, it was to Sydney, Australia, to visit family. So obviously, the choices I made were not working anymore, and perhaps they never worked in the first place. But I knew that the only reason why I would want to continue doing what I had been doing was because I did not want to be proven wrong. After all, I refused 2 contracts from 2 different schools right after graduating, partially because I didn't want to become a teacher, and also because I was highly encouraged to go to those interviews. I didn't want to feel that I had wasted 5 years of my life just to go back to square one. But how many more years would I have continued wasting if I had done the same thing? You see, saying that you're wrong is one of the hardest things you could possibly admit to yourself. But it is also a life-changing and an empowering moment. Because when you say that you're wrong, it means that you are learning. It means that you are seeing your world and your life in a different way, and it means that you are ready to try something new. And if the words, "I was wrong," is hard to digest, just think of yourself as the writer of your own life. Nobody writes something perfectly from the first time. It doesn't matter who they are. They could be working on a slogan of few words, or it could be a 500-page novel. There are always drafts involved. Sometimes all it takes is a little bit of tweaking here and there. Sometimes you need to remove half of your project, and sometimes you'll need to start all over again. But there are always drafts. It is harder for us to admit that we were wrong when it has to do with an important part of our life, say a career, or a friendship, or a major in university. Because if we were wrong in such an important part of our life, then it's going to feel as if our entire life has been wrong. But that's not true. A wrong choice is just that, a wrong choice, and not a wrong life. So with all of that in mind, in mid-November of 2012, I signed my first contract with ACS, and I carved for myself a new path. There was a little tiny problem there. I knew nothing about teaching 5-year-olds. But I'm a quick learner, and so for the first 2 years, I watched, I listened, and I learned. This is my 10th year at ACS, and my 6th as a kindergarten teacher. And I have realized, rather quickly, why someone would willingly choose to stand in front of a classroom, repeating themselves countless times and being ignored in the process, and trying very hard to find creative ways to teach something. And I've loved every day of this journey. The world I found myself in was completely different from the world I had imagined. The kids that I teach, they're funny, they're fun, they're happy, they're creative. They have this innate ability to see something or someone in very different ways. Just trying to get... They're all supposed to be portraits of me, if, there's resemblance. Those kids are risk takers. They are adventurers. Even after telling them not to jump in the muddy puddle because they will get wet and become uncomfortable, they will still go outside, find the biggest and largest puddle and jump in it. Why? Because it's fun. Because that's how they learn about their world. Because those kindergartners are not afraid to be proven wrong. A kindergarten classroom is all about second chances and possibilities, and I got my second chance while in there. So funnily enough, it was while teaching full-time and tutoring almost on a daily basis that I got the chance to fulfill my 2 dreams. I got the opportunity to travel to so many cities around the world, and I can't wait for this pandemic to be over so I can start traveling again. I recently just finished writing a full draft of my first book, and this time, I wrote a story that was meaningful and that I cared about. And that's not all. Another goal emerged. You see, as a teacher, when I started out, I was very shy, I was quiet, I didn't share my opinions or express my thoughts. I was the kind of teacher who would never dare to offer a counter-argument or a different perspective. So one morning, I had this crazy idea that maybe I should do public speaking. But that goal didn't emerge out of nowhere. It was years in the making, way before I was even aware of it. You see, as a teacher, I'm always put in situations where my thoughts and my opinions are not only welcomed, but are required. I am my students' only advocate, and fighting for what I believe is right for them is part of my job. So I learned to speak up. And in 2018, for the very first time, I was able to present to a group of strangers at a conference that the school hosted here. And the fact that I'm standing in front of you today, sharing the story, shows me how far I've come on this journey. So by trying something different from what I had originally planned for myself, I discovered a passion for teaching I didn't know I had. And because I was happy and continuously pushed out of my comfort zone, I was able to grow, pursue my dreams, fulfill my goals, and find new goals. I used to regret those first 5 years of freelancing, but now I understand that I had to arrive to this point in my life the long way around. Just like every teacher around the world, I experienced teacher burnout, say the week before Christmas break. We're almost there with all its craziness in kindergarten. September is the longest month of the year. We really should have t-shirts that say, I survived September in kindergarten. And by April, I seriously consider changing my own name. I actually had the children call me Miss Amy for a whole day because I couldn't handle the sound of my own name anymore. And if you have no idea what that means, you're welcome to come to my class and see for yourself. On those tough days, the first 5 years act as a reminder that I had tried another path, a path I thought I wanted more than anything else, and it wasn't successful. But this one has been. So as you move on in life, as you make your own choices, remember that those choices are not forever. There may come a time when you will need to rethink them, when you will need to slow down and rethink them. And when that time comes, be open to new possibilities. Be aware of your preconceived ideas and perspectives and be willing to change them. Just because something worked for a while, it doesn't mean it's going to work forever. So when the time comes, ask yourself the hard question. Have the courage to say, this is not working anymore, or I made the wrong choice, or I was wrong, and try something else. Even if it's that one thing you thought you didn't want to do. You never know how it might surprise you. Thank you.